Against a backdrop of rapid, wide-ranging technological disruption, there's been a sea change in how established banks view their relationship with fintech businesses, and a growing appetite for closer collaboration. While in the recent years, banks have sometimes viewed fintechs as competitors and questioned their role in highly regulated environments, they are now broadly recognized by financial institutions as valuable partners for the future. Hello everyone, I am Uni Pillai. I am the Head of Financial Services Technology at AWS ASEAN. I am joined by Sachin Sharma, who is the Chief Product Officer and Commercial Officer at Standard Chartered Nexus, and Hari Sivan, who is the co-founder at Socash, a fintech startup headquartered here in Singapore. Today in this fireside chat, we will look at one such partnership between SC Nexus and Socash. So let's get started. Sachin, can you talk a bit about SC Nexus and how it came into existence, and a bit about your role as well?
Sure. First of all, Uni, thanks for having me here. My role essentially is about building out the platform. So I'm the Chief Product and Commercial Officer. As time has gone by, the platform is ready. Now my role also has expanded to looking for the right partners which can utilize this banking as a service platform from Standard Chartered. The genesis of banking at SC is very interesting, actually. So a few years back, I think way back in 2018, we were looking at the market space, what was happening. And there were a few clear trends which were emerging. One was the advent of big digital ecosystems. And the fact that customers were flocking to these ecosystems, whether it is e-commerce, social media, ride-hailing companies. And the other thing that we saw as a trend was a lot of the big digital players started offering financial services, starting with payments, but in some cases we also saw them move into lending. And on the other side, we also saw the advent of fintechs. Fintechs were also growing, and they were getting into lending, payments, etc. And we were wondering, what is the role of the bank going forward into this digital future? And we came to the conclusion that you can look at it as a threat, or you can look at it as an opportunity. And we obviously decided to do the second. We came up with banking as a service solution, SC Nexus. SC Nexus is a comprehensive customer lifecycle solution where our partners can utilize our capabilities to provide financial services securely, safely, in a compliant way to their customers within their ecosystems. And we see that there is going to be a massive demand and opportunity for banking services to grow with these digital ecosystems. So in brief, yeah, that's the genesis.
Thank you very much, Sachin. Over to you, Hari. Can you talk a bit about Socash? What does the company do, and what are the product lines that you work in, and a bit about your role as well?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Uni, and thank you for the entire AWS ecosystem. You have been critical in our success and scale. About myself, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Socash. Day job includes, making sure that the platform grows and meets our expectations. Not our expectations, but our clients' expectations, in terms of everything they require. What the platform does, or what Socash does, it offers network as a service. So in simple terms, we have built a supply chain that delivers banking financial services from platform like Sachin's Nexus, products and services closer to consumers. So it's literally about taking banking to where customers are, which is quite opposite to the history where customers are expected to come to the banks. And this is a significant shift. Socash is a multi-country, multi-product infrastructure. It's a tech platform that aggregates retailers, that aggregates banking and financial institutions, and then delivers payments, lending, accounts, so on and so forth. Practically anything that is a banking product that can be digitally delivered, get that infrastructure, get that product closer to where the demand is or where the customers are. We currently operate in Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and we are actually expanding in LATAM and looking at some of the markets where there is a rise in digital banking, neo-banking, embedded finance, because clearly the old banking model is broken. It has not delivered to the needs of consumers. And now, as banks, non-banks, and everybody really looks at this opportunity, we are building those rails and then that infrastructure. So that in a nutshell is Socash.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Hari. So, Sachin, Hari spoke about the partnership that he has with you and SC Nexus, right? And it is very clear that there was a gap that both of you partnering together, you filled for the customers and for the market. Can you talk about like why was it so significant for both of your organizations? And what exactly did you solve for the customers? And how did this idea come about?
Yeah, sure. So it's actually a very interesting story, and it starts before we did SC Nexus. This was way back, I think, in 2017 when I was managing the deposits business for Standard Chartered in Singapore. And one of the key issues that my employee banking team was highlighting is that we did not have as many ATM or cash points as some of our competition, and therefore we were kind of losing out on the business front there. And while we were grappling with this problem, Hari came with a perfect solution, because what Socash could do is essentially allow for cardless cash withdrawals without the need of having an ATM. And by the virtue of his network, our customers, Standard Chartered customers, could walk up to the hundreds of merchants across the island, request for cash on the SC mobile app itself, and essentially do a cardless withdrawal without having ATM. So there were benefits for all parties. For us, we solved the problem of cash points and access to cash. For the customers, they did not need to carry around their ATM cards. And I think from a merchant point of view, we provided more walk-ins and therefore more interactions at every merchant. So it was a fantastic solution for the traditional bank. But when we started Nexus, we realized that the same solution really works in a really mass market digital environment really perfectly. Because what we are doing is we are partnering with e-commerce players, some of which we have already announced for Indonesia. And e-commerce users are in the millions. You cannot provide ATMs for a vast majority of these people who are even living in remote areas of Indonesia. But we can partner with Socash to solve their requirements in terms of whenever they need cash, all they need to do is access their Nexus app, find a merchant, go up to a merchant, and essentially solve that issue of cash withdrawal. So I think it's been a great partnership with Socash so far. And we are quite sure that even in other markets, as the Nexus platform itself expands, the same solution is going to work quite well, as we would be keen on seeing how we also look at other services that Socash is now providing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sachin. I think it's very interesting to see like how with the partnership that you have together, like you are adding to the financial inclusion in Indonesia, and how you're bringing cash services and banking services down to the masses back in the country. So Hari, over to you. Like you being a fintech, it's very understood that you're pretty agile and flexible in your technology and how you implement technology and how you integrate technology. But especially when you're integrating it with a bank who has like a very standard way of doing things, very secure way of doing things, what were some of the challenges that you faced working with SC Nexus on the integration bit? I'm more than keen to understand like more as a learning from you on what were some of the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome that?
Challenges, selling to banks, or selling to financial institutions, a new idea, a new product, is extremely difficult. But the flip side of that is these are extremely valuable clients from a business perspective, and these are reliable clients. So there is that, you really need to climb that mountain. Once the buy-in is there from product owners and business owners, I think that is where the tech challenges come, and different banks, operate at different levels of complexity. I have to say Standard Chartered is probably a digital leader. But when, like Sachin mentioned, 2017, 2018, I think one of the examples that we always felt that Standard Chartered is a fortress, is a tech fortress. You cannot go in. Because that is how the mindset was. So while we can have the best APIs built on the best AWS infrastructure, it won't go in because the doors are not open, right? So those were the those are the examples of challenges that existed then. But there is also a rapid realization that banks are becoming tech companies, which means that over the years that momentum of change is increasing. So it is a matter of time where those challenges will go away, but then new challenges will come because, let's say, a regulator suddenly comes up with some new security, this thing, and banks really have to. It is not, an e-commerce company is not regulated typically to the level that a bank is. So it's kind of a metrics. It is good for the society. It can be frustrating, but in the long term, if you kind of learn how to work with financial institutions like Standard Chartered or the progressive ones, it actually is great for business.
Thank you very much, Hari. So no, that is very useful to understand, right? So Sachin, Hari spoke about like challenges in technical integration and stuff, and working in banks, it's not usually very easy to integrate a third-party service with your organization. What were some of the internal challenges that you faced that during the course of the partnership that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, so I think the primary challenge with innovation is that it doesn't conform to the existing set frameworks and standards that you've put up, right? So especially in case of banking, banks are, as you know, heavily regulated. There is massive amount of responsibility put onto the bank to make sure that the customers, their deposits and their payments are secure. They have a certain amount of trust with banks. So it's very important for us to get the governance and security right, especially when we are partnering with fintechs who are innovating like Socash is, right? So to that extent, what we've had to do is essentially explain the solution to various different stakeholders within the bank, whether it is ICS, whether it is fraud risk, whether it is even credit risk. Because from the business point of view, while it's clear to me, the solution needs to be clear to all the different functional stakeholders as well. And sometimes when your frameworks are more designed for the traditional channels, let's say branches or feet on street, you just simply don't have a framework which accepts some of this innovation. And then you have to work with the risk framework owners to make them understand what is the risk mitigation that we are bringing in. How does the same framework apply to something which is very new? So I think that is the primary challenge. But I would say that within the bank, our functional stakeholders are extremely open to innovation. It's not that they're not open to innovation. We are, like Hari said, we are a digital leader. The fact that we have Standard Chartered Nexus is a great example of how deeply innovative Standard Chartered as a bank is. But the fact that you are regulated and you have existing governance for traditional channels, that takes some time to kind of adapt to something new which is getting introduced. So I think that is the primary challenge, and it's still important to get every innovation right, because innovation cannot be at the cost of customer security or losing the trust of our customers. So we have to get it right. It might take some time once in a while, but once Socash is a partner, they are a partner, right? And then we can work with them in multiple markets. So that's our approach to it. And I think I would say that fintechs who are looking to partner with big banks should have this view as well as to what are the challenges that we face when we partner up.
Good. No, it's great to understand that, Sachin, and I like the point that you said, like, innovation has to be done right every time, right? Because you cannot compromise on customer security or your internal compliances as well. So Hari, like, I know Socash has moved on with the partnership. Now I know that you partner with few other banks as well in the region. What I would like to also understand is, like, having learned from all your experiences working with Standard Chartered and other banks in the region, what are some of the learnings that you have had, like partnering with banks, and like if you had to do things differently, learning from the experiences that you have had, how would you do things differently?
I wouldn't do things differently. I would just do things a little bit more smarter, right? So I think the point, the learnings have been that as a startup, from 0 to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, these are all, you have to prioritize different things. So 0 to 1 is like really selling your idea, selling your product. Your first client is super important, so you'll do whatever you want. But that may not be true when you are in your 8, 9, 10 steps, right? So one of the things that we have learned is really to say no to a lot of things, because it may not be, while it may be a big opportunity in 15 years, it may not make sense in the short term. So there are, like earlier, saying no was very difficult. But now that is coming out as very easy, because you don't want to add risk or add, like, you don't want to have, whether it's a tech debt or whether it's a product debt. So that is like one learning. Second is over invest into sales. COVID has shown us like it is very difficult to close a deal in the B2B space. These are like multi-million-dollar deals. So earlier, what used to get done in 3, 4, 5, 6 months is probably now taking 5, 6, 7, 8 months. So we are over investing in that sales engagement, because financial institutions are really catching up. There is an infinite amount of demand, and Southeast Asia is probably the hub of that demand. Whether you look at Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, everywhere there is new banks, there is new licenses, there is e-commerce. Every e-commerce platform wants to become a fintech, and that is when Nexus opportunity, is so spot on. So for us, it has the learning has been to really prioritize and really focus on what is important, what is not important. Tech-wise, we are over-investing in tech because we know that regulations are evolving, right? So if you look at last 2 years, payments, new regulations have come up, banking, new licenses have come up, and that would mean that we need to kind of be ahead of that to make sure that we meet possible guidelines. So these are some of the things that we have learned across last 3-4 years.
So talking about learning, Hari, I'll come back to you in a bit on learning, but I just wanted to touch a bit technical, go a bit technical with Sachin and understand. Like I know SC Nexus banking as a service offering currently runs on cloud on AWS, right? I wanted to understand what are some of the business and technical benefits that you have gotten by running the platform on AWS, and why did you choose to run it on the cloud when bank already had its on-premise infrastructure ready?
I think the short answer is scalability, cost efficiency, and time to market. So a cloud solution really takes off all of these challenges, especially if you look at a business model where millions of customers and millions of transactions are required. Right? So I think it really depends on a different solution. Maybe a private banking solution does not require cloud. Maybe, right? Because it's very limited number of customers and transactions, and on-premise can work as well as cloud. But in the context of what SC Nexus is going to achieve, which is working with, like I said, e-commerce players which have millions of users, or even social media companies, telcos, ride-hailing, to maintain and create an infrastructure to support those volumes, it just doesn't kind of work well anymore. The second thing I would say is that if you look at some of these solutions now in the market in terms of technology, software capabilities, they are very well integrated with cloud solutions such as AWS now. So it again becomes very easy and a preferred choice from a technical point of view to use these services, which are very well embedded within the AWS ecosystem. So I think just from a point of view of the technology team itself, it makes their lives much easier, and they have all the tools which they require to do their jobs well and in a timely manner, right? So yeah, again, to repeat, I would say, scalability, cost efficiency, and time to market. These are the three big attractive things for any large scale solution which banks are looking at.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Sachin. That is very useful. I'm sure the FIs who are watching this session now would definitely benefit from it and take inputs from that. So I told you, Hari, I'll come back to you on learnings, right? So As a CEO of a fintech who has been in this market for a few years now and have integrated their services with many large financial institutions, what are some of the learnings that you'd like to share, or what are some of the advices that you'd like to share with other fintechs who are in your space or in similar space and who are working with financial institutions? What are some of the learnings that you'll share with them?
The opportunity is amazing, and it is only growing. And I think the rapid digitization, COVID, non-COVID, it is probably at that stage where the opportunity matures, and the next phase really is the monetization part. So I would say that the timing is exactly right, and the more creative you are, and if you find your market niche, it basically is a gold mine. The challenges are also equally evolving. So regulators have finally figured out what is right, what is not right. So anything goes, and you can see that in different markets, India, China, the regulatory pushback. I wouldn't say pushback, it's basically regulators learning that they need, there are certain things happening at scale, and you need to regulate it. So whether it's lending, whether it's crypto. So as tech platforms, I can't advise anyone, but our operating principle really is to define your boundaries and find your space where you want to, because when you're dealing with financial institutions, typically if you want to do business, you need to be on the right side of law and regulations. You can work in gray areas, but you need to be conscious of what risk you're carrying and whether that's really worth it for the business. So those are kind of like some of the pointers or the vectors that we operate with.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hari. So Sachin, Hari, thank you very much for being with us and joining us today here. And I'm sure the people at home now who are watching it at the comfort of their home really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you very much for attending the session today with us. And please feel free to take a few minutes off to fill up the survey. And thank you very much for joining the session, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.